Peugeot's big MPV makes up in practicality what it lacks in glamour. It offers state-of-the-art safety features, brilliant attention to detail and solid mechanicals, which combine with attention-grabbing prices to make it a large people carrier you'd be remiss to overlook. Sharing its underpinnings with Citroen C8, Peugeot's 807 takes a no-nonsense approach to the business of properly transporting 7 people and their luggage. Now, salesmen will often tell you that a compact mini MPV with 7 seats can do this. Don't believe them.
If you regularly transport 7 people, then you'll need more than a couple of occasional seats in the boot.
Unlike some rivals, the 807 doesn't pretend to be either a sports car or a fashion statement, instead sticking to practical, boxy virtues, something you may well find refreshing. Now, since the car was first launched in 2002, Peugeot have never stopped developing it, most recently adding a 170 brake horsepower 2.2 litre HDI diesel to the top of a slightly facelifted range. The engine range is heavily weighted towards diesel. There is a 2 litre petrol, 4-cylinder, 143 brake horsepower engine, no open proceedings, but it does a commendable job. But from there on in, it's diesel all the way. You've got a 2 litre HDI unit with 120 brake horsepower, not far shy of its 136 brake horsepower 2 litre HDI sibling. At the top of the range, there's a 2.2 litre HDI with 170 brake horsepower, and that's a lot of grunt, ably assisted by 370 newton meters of torque, and that's a lot even compared to the 320 newton meters of torque that you get in the most powerful 2 litre HDI version. Like most Peugeots, the 807 is good to drive, with very crisp handling for such a sizable bus. Find a back road and it's more enjoyable to hustle along than some allegedly sporty cars that I've driven recently. In the range, well, the entry-level 120 brake horsepower 2 litre HDI is the biggest seller, and for good reason. The rest of 60 time of 12.9 seconds doesn't really give you much idea of just how much mid-range urge this engine has. The gearbox isn't the last word in slickness, but there's an automatic option if this feature grates, and all the HDIs have 6-speed manual gearboxes as standard. Sheer practicality is a major selling point of the 807. Now, the seats are mounted on runners so that they can go backwards and forwards, and getting optimal legroom is simplicity itself. There are the usual zillion and one combinations of how you can arrange the various seats, and the front ones can even swivel around completely to create what Peugeot call a sitting room environment. Also, shoulder width room, which is really important for long journeys. That's a real strength of this car. As with any modern design, the rear seats are removable, though unlike more modern rivals, you do have to take them out and store them in the garage. Now, if you're likely to be regularly travelling with a full complement of passengers on board, I'd suggest you talk to your dealer about doing a good deal on a roof box, because with everybody in place, there's just 324 litres of boot space back here behind the rearmost set of seats. If you can fold the second and third row of seats, however, you've got a removal van like 2,948 litres of capacity. The rear doors are sliding items, removing the embarrassment of your kids opening the back doors onto neighbouring cars in public car parks. Should you take up the option of specifying up to 3 sunroofs, the standard 4-zone climate-controlled air conditioning will be very welcome. Now, multiplex wiring allows for all kinds of electronic niceties in this car. Light-sensitive headlamps, automatic windscreen wipers, speed indexing of the stereo control, rear parking sensors, guide me home headlamps, and remote control operation of the windows, mirrors, sunroofs and the sliding doors. As you might expect, prices lie in the £20,000 to £28,000 bracket that's common to this class of large MPV. Now, that puts it up against obvious rivals like Citroen C8 and Ford's Galaxy, though slightly above budget offerings like Kia's Sedona. It is more affordable though than slightly larger 7-seat rivals like, say, Chrysler's Grand Voyager, All 807s come well equipped with features like a CD stereo, remote control central locking and a multifunction display screen that's built into the dashboard, as well as digital air conditioning. The real party piece though comes when you move up to plusher models. These come with electrically operated sliding side doors. The 807 is stuffed to its very gunwales with safety equipment, and that's resulted in a very creditable 5-star Euro NCAP safety rating, as well as the customary twin front airbags. Side airbags and curtain airbags are fitted to all 3 rows of seats. You also get anti-lock brakes with electronic brake force distribution and brake assist fitted to every model. Recognising that distraction by children is a contributory factor in an increasing number of accidents, Peugeot have fitted this ingenious retractable child check mirror that enables you to keep an eye on the kids in the back without taking your eyes off the road or turning round, or alternatively to see what colour the little horrors would like the upholstery to be this week. Whilst it's true to say that any vehicle big enough to haul a large family about is not going to incur inconsiderable running costs, the Peugeot 807 box is clever with a range of very efficient engines. Now you can see that in the typical pence per mile running costs of the entry-level 2-litre diesel model over a 3-year period. It works out to just 48.7 pence per mile to run that car, and that's cheaper than an entry-level 2-litre diesel Mondeo. Now that's a big saving over the 54.9 pence per mile you'll pay for a 7-seater rival with slightly more baggage space like Renault's Renault Espace diesel. So you've really got to want that extra baggage room to go for the Renault. Don't fall into the trap either of thinking that a large 7-seater diesel 4x4 is going to be pretty comparable in terms of running costs. It almost certainly won't be. A 7-seat diesel Jeep Commander, for example, will cost you 65.3 pence per mile to run. Fuel economy of around 41 miles to the gallon will take a dip if you load this Peugeot to the max. But even the more powerful 2-litre HDI with 136 brake horsepower manages around 40 miles to the gallon on a regular basis. Go for the petrol model and that dips to around 31 mpg. Insurance, well, that's groups 10 to group 14, so no nasty surprises there. And servicing is actually very inexpensive for a car of this sort. Residual values hover at between 33 and 36% over 3 years, depending on the model, so budget that into your calculations. It would be entirely understandable if the merits of the Peugeot 807 had entirely passed you by. There are, after all, many other full-size MPVs that are initially more seductive, or if not, proclaim their modest talents a good deal more stridently than the 807. But in this car, Peugeot has a product that has a very well-judged combination of very relevant qualities. All-round practicality is another mandatory requirement, and the 807 ticks that particular box with easy space for up to 7 people, sliding side doors, and removable seats, even if they're not of the latest flippy folding variety. The icing on the cake is that it's also pretty good to drive. French sense then? You could well see it like that.